Thank you very much, fellow Africans, and welcome to our today's episode of the Change for African campaign. I must say that I'm a very, very happy African citizen, because this has been a tremendous journey. This is episode number 95. Why I'm saying this, it is because this is the last episode. We are trying to look at different topics. Today is on Friday, about a fifth pillar of the Change for African campaign, as usual. But this is episode number 95. We are supposed to do 100 of them, but then today I'll be doing this. We are using we are actually not using the UNCDG goals, because we have tried and taken the targets and the goals that we can try and relate them to the Change for African campaign, the 5 pillars, and be able to figure out now the solutions we can offer to these targets and these goals. We have spoken about a lot of things, but then don't be using the World Environmental Day, which will be coming on 5th of June next month. Remember, World Environmental Day is all about it's also connected to things to do with climate change, because when climate change comes, also our environment suffers. So that is they have a very immediate relationship with each other. So that is what I'm dealing with this time. This is our episode about that, episode number 95. Next week, what we'll be doing, we'll be focusing all our pillars. The 5 episodes of next week will be related to the last goal of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The last goal of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is all about the partnership of those goals. So we'll be going to see, when it comes to governance, when it comes to potential, when it comes to resources, when it comes to the living standards, and also climate change, how can people partner? These key pillars were very strategic and pragmatic, that we found that these are things if we deal with and connect them to all these global and also African aspirations, we can be able to rescue Africa first, and then Africa is part of the global stage. We'll be having a great Africa. So fellow Africans, this time I'll be going just on a brief note about the World Environmental Day, also known as the Eco Day, that will be celebrated next month. And so therefore, we just want to see, what is this World Environmental Day? Well, as you can hear the name, it's all about, this is a world flagship program that actually reminds people the importance of, the obligation when it comes to matters to do with climate change, and also it's an environment whereby matters to do with protecting their environment. Remember, as I've said, there's that very huge relationship between the environment and the climate change, because once we have climate change and global warming, they do directly affect our environment. So that is also another thing we are going to tackle, and these are some of the things we have spoken countless times, and we just have to continue to speak about them. So World Environmental Day is coming, and the climate change is remember, Africa, as we said, is the most hit continent when it comes to matter of climate change. Even if it's not the most hit, but we can see the ravaging effects. But indeed, but indeed, it is hugely or highly, or there is a very huge the intensity at which Africa is attacked when it comes to matters of climate change is very high. So these matters, they lead to our environment being they lead to wastage of our planet, wastage of our environment. So that is some of the things that are causing climate change. So these are issues that are alive and well. The Change for African campaign, we have had a very interesting time speaking about these things. And so as we're going to celebrate the World Environmental Day next month on June 5th, let us make sure that we are going on that day, simply because we know that once we are able to have a good environment, a clean environment, we are also reducing the effects that may arise. Because speaking about having a great environment is whereby once we can be able to have trees, we don't do deforestation, we can be able to protect our soils. But then this Environmental Day, our theme for the year is all about beating plastic pollution. That is the theme, overall theme. So that is what we are going to deal with. Things with plastic, we can see how they interfere with the marine bodies, the marine, the aquatic life. That is some of the things we are speaking about. Also how they pollute the environment, the land environment. So that is some of the things we need to focus on. How can we be able to turn these plastics and make them not to interfere with the environment, and also not to be in our oceans or in our marines and our seas, they interfere with the aquatic life. But we can improvise this thing so that they can be able to instead be of benefit to other sources. And these are solutions actually. If you are able to figure out what these plastics can do in one or the other different fields, if they can be improvise to do other things, if they can reprocessed and just be taken to be processed in other industries so that they can also turn to other products. And people have tried to do that. I've seen in many areas people are doing that, but it's not enough, because we still have the plastics. These are things that are continuous, they are being manufactured day in, day out. So how do we make sure that we are able to catch up, or able to be on the same level in terms of their production, how they are being produced, and they turn out affecting the environment or polluting the environment, and also us being able to now improvise, make them to do other things of benefit, so that they do not just be of waste into our environment. So these are some of the things we're going to look at, and come next month on 5th of June, that is how we are going to work on this. And actually we will be launching now something now that will be coming from our journey of the change for African cabinet. Remember, now we are going to the practical part of doing things. So when it comes to climate change, we have the young Africans the young Africans climate environment action plan, something like that. But then I'll be explaining more on that, on what we're going to do in terms of having the practical part of doing things when it comes to salvaging ourselves, or being able to rescue ourselves the matters of climate change, because these are issues that are alive and well in Africa. We must get solutions for them. So fellow Africans, allow me to at that point, let us meet Monday next week, of course, as we discuss. We will be finishing our daily episode of the Change for African Cabinet. But this weekend, there's a big deal that is coming, and we will be seeing it on what we're going to do, just our stand on how things are going to run very smoothly. And I can tell you for free, everything is great. Fellow Africans, thank you and have a great time. It is a pleasure to always be there with you. Thank you.